And we are live. Good morning. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Isn't It Time Facebook Live show. This Saturday morning, we're talking about how to be courageously, compassionately truthful. I hope you are well wherever you are. And I just wanted to do just a quick call out. I have a client who is out west in Goondiwindi. And you may have seen lots of TV shows or interviews about the current state of the drought. It's pretty bad. And for people out west, you know, they just do it tough all the time. So there's lots of stuff happening around Australia this weekend. And if you can help in any way, I know Bunnings has got all their sausage sizzles this weekend. Morning, Donna. I know, isn't it beautiful? Oh, so warm today. So Bunnings are donating everything from their sausage sizzles. I know Channel 9 have got a big push on. I know there's places that you can donate a bale of hay. It is really bad, and we're there's no end in sight at the moment. So if you can help in any way, I'm sure that it would be, morning, Deb. I'm sure that it would be very much appreciated. God, they do it tough, don't they? They just do it tough. Amazing people, farmers. Because ultimately, it's going to impact on us. Ultimately, prices are going to go up. So if you can help in any way, even in just writing to politicians, if that's what you can do to help them get, interest-free loans, whatever it is to help them get back on their feet again and get through this terrible thing. Okie dokie. Yes. And as Donna said, what a beautiful morning in Brisbane and much warmer, and the sun is shining. I know it's not happening everywhere because I have a friend of mine who lives in Victoria, and they've been pretty darn cold this weekend, but we certainly are having gorgeous weather, which brings me to something I wanted to talk about before we move into how to be compassionately and courageously truthful. And that's, I want to share something very exciting. Well, it was for me anyway. So it was the 1st of August. And, you know, as we know, last month in winter. Now, every year for the last, I don't know, God, how many years, you know, I kind of get to this time of the year and think, oh, I need to get back into my exercise again, or I need to get back into, you know, eating healthy again. Probably slipped a little bit, didn't get up as much as early, you know, didn't exercise as regularly for it's cold, blah, 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 blah. And as many of you know, I wrote a program called the 2 and 20 Principle. Back in, now, when did I write it? I think I wrote it in December. Started sort of promoting it in January, and I've made some changes now. Now it's a very simple guide to follow. It's not as involved as what it was when I originally woke it. Yeah, so true. I was really, really excited this year because for the first time in many years, I don't have to restart anything. That by following those simple guidelines all the way along, right throughout winter, simple things, 20-minute walks, 2 intermittent fasting days, continued with my journaling, continued with my tapping, continued, my productivity, making sure I was blocking out 2-hour sessions each week to get stuff done, that I don't have to do any restart for September. I've not put on any weight over winter. As I said to a friend of mine the other day, unfortunately, my skin isn't fitting like it used to. But anyway, that's a whole other story. But it really works, the 2 and 20 principle. So if you're interested, head over to my website. I'll just show this right now. And you can download it for free. And honestly, it's made an enormous difference to my energy. You know, half an hour in my morning now to do simple exercises at home. I'm thinking about I might sort of start some Pilates or something because of my speaking engagements. My back hurts a little bit after a period of time, but other than that, I was just so excited this week to know that I've got to the 1st of August and I'm not having to restart anything. It was really exciting. So to hop on the website, download the principle if you haven't already. It's yours for free, but it really, really does work. I've got a real issue about diets. As you know, I've got a real issue about any kinds of intensive exercise programs or, things that only go for a period of time. This has got to be long term. We're in an age in our lives now. What we're doing now, we want to be able to be doing for the rest of our lives. We want to be able to be doing, keep active and not be worried about falling. And if you start right now just doing these basic, simple things, it will go a long way to your overall health. So that's my little plug for the 2 and 20 principle. It's on my website, because you find out some other stuff there as well. Alrighty, let's get on to being courageous, lifestyle changes. Yeah, Donna, look, it's simple, it's just, oh gosh, 2 days intermittent fasting. How hard is that? 2 days alcohol free. How hard is that? 2 days meatless meals. How hard is that? It's not hard. It's easy. 20 minutes of a walk, 10 minutes down one end of the street and 10 minutes back the other. And with about 5 minutes of just simple weight-bearing exercises, it just makes all the difference. And it's just a pattern, a habit. This whole thing about the Coles doing the backflip this week on the plastic bag thing, they haven't given people a chance. Take 66 days for a habit to become part of your life. They didn't give us a chance, and I think that's a bit silly, really, to go back to that plastic bag thing. Well, we'll get over it. We're big people. We'll grow up. Give us a chance. Give us a chance. I'm reminding myself now when I go into the store to take that bag out of the car, or else I'm carrying the sold things out to the car and filling my bag out there. So it's simple. You know what? Yeah. Well done for you, Donna. That's awesome. That's wonderful. I haven't got to that point. Still like my champagne on a Friday night. Well, good for you. I'm really pleased. That is, and it does, and it feels great. It does. I know when you have those alcohol-free days, it's great. Let's talk about speaking your truth with courage and compassion and commitment to uncertainty. So I'm going to go through the 3 things now. Before I start, though, I do want to say, and give this a bit of a pre-statement here, and a bit of a disclaimer. If you are in fear, physically or emotionally, you must put your safety first. The strategies I'm going to talk about now, I am assuming that you are not in a situation where you're in fear of your physical body or emotionally, in any situations of abuse or violence. So don't use these strategies unless you've sought professional help or assistance before you start to use these strategies. So I just want to say that right up front. Use your good judgment here. But if you're in that situation, you can always reach out to me, and we can have a chat about that. I do work with people who have been in domestic violence, sexual abuse situations. So if you are that, please reach out to me privately. But so we're going to be talking today in general. And in particular in business. I'm going to talk about this in business. You may have somebody in your family who you find it very difficult to speak your truth to, or it might be in business. You have difficulty in speaking your truth to, say, a boss or a co-worker. So this is about that. Okay, I want to just make that up straight. All right, so let's talk about courage. It takes courage to tell your truth, because the minute you step up into that, you can feel very vulnerable. And it can be thrown back to times when you felt ridicule or feeling stupid or made me wrong. Okay, so in speaking your truth requires courage, and that's the problem with it. If you are not used to speaking your truth with compassion and letting go of the commitment to uncertainty, it can be there's no framework. If you come from a family where you were not allowed to speak your truth, where you were told things like, who do you think you are? Don't be such a drama queen. You're too big for your britches. What makes you think you're so smart? If you've got any of that running in the background, when you're, as an adult, going to speak your truth, and you've never done it before, really, it is an uncomfortable place to be. And what happens is when we step out into that is our brain will go to ways to keep you comfortable, because you're stepping out onto a very scary place. There's no point of reference if you've never done it before. And so the feelings that come up from it are the things that are going to hold you back from speaking your truth. So in the split second, when you say, right now, that's it, I'm finally going to speak my truth, in a split second, that decision is the difference between courage and fear, and you can feel the same things at the same time. We're not designed to feel uncomfortable. So it can bring up fears of confrontation. It can bring up fears of, I don't know if I'm right here. I don't have any frame of reference. And I was talking, I've had a couple of conversations this week about speaking your truth in leadership. And a few of the people that I've spoken to have come up with the same things, is that when you speak your truth, you can feel so isolated. You have nobody that you can refer back to, and that can be really difficult. So what I would suggest, if you're in a position where you need to speak your truth, you're finally ready to speak your truth, is to actually write about it first. Is to write out how you actually feel, what's the frustration you're feeling, how annoying it is. Get it out on paper, like creating a first draft. I really believe in the power of writing, and I've spoken to this many times on this show, is the power of journaling. When you can get out the stuff that's swirling around in your mind and you can begin to look at it objectively, it can make a huge difference. Because what happens if you speak your truth, your triggers will be triggered. I don't want to get too big for my britches. Who do I think I am? What if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong? What if I'm dead wrong? And what's the worst thing that can possibly happen? I could lose my job. I could lose my friends. I could lose this relationship. You know, when you write that down, get it out your greatest fears. And that's what you tap on. Okay, well, that's what you go through the feelings of before you put yourself in a situation of speaking your truth. Now, I've mentioned this a couple of times before. It takes courage to be authentic. And it takes courage to speak your truth if you've never had to do it before. Yeah, or you could release and empower within. So strong. Absolutely, Donna. You know, there's a situation that occurs in our body when we're placed in situations about being uncomfortable. It's a physical feeling. Flight, fight, freeze. So if you're uncomfortable about speaking your truth and you go to speak your truth and you haven't cleared your triggers around it, you will do one of two things. You'll freeze. You won't want to. You'll stop, won't know what to say. You'll want to fight. You'll get angry about it, and you'll blame. You'll start to get into the blame game, anger and resentment, and why don't you ever listen to me? And nothing I say is right. And you never hear what I'm saying. And it's always about you. And the other thing is flee, fight, fright, flight. You want to flee it. You go, I can't be bothered. No, it's not important. It's not important. I don't need to say it, whatever. I'll just keep the status quo. Now in business, how that ends up is things like, I just do my job. I'll just come to work. I'll just do my job. And what do I know? I don't care. Now the problem with that is when you do that is it turns internally and we start to beat ourselves up. And we do things like eat chocolate, chips. We'll tend to reach for the alcohol. Anything that's going to numb us. The worst thing we do, though, and I have been guilty of this in the past when I was doing all this research, I've been guilty of this in the past, where I then turn it out onto others, yell at the kids, find fault in something that my husband's done, fire off an angry email, because what I'm doing is trying to push that feeling out. I want to push that anger and resentment onto somebody else so that I feel better. And of course, as we know, that never happens. So before you put yourself in a situation of speaking your truth, practice it. Write it out. Brene Brown calls it a shitty first draft. I just love that. You write it. Write out how you're feeling. Find what your trigger points are. Find where that pattern is. Every time I've spoken the truth in the past, I've been ridiculed or laughed at. Every time I stood up to my friend, she just went, whatever. The time that I've spoken my truth, and I've been made to feel that I was less than. So find where that trigger is. Number two, is compassion. When you need to speak your truth to somebody, when you need, I don't want to say use the word, when you want to speak your truth with someone, the most powerful thing you can do is to understand where they're coming from. Because sometimes their response is based on their experience and their story. For instance, you might want to speak to somebody about your truth about an idea you have. But the person you're talking to may be feeling insecure in their role. They may be feeling that they're uncomfortable with, somebody coming to them with a good idea because that's going to make them look bad. You might find that if you want to speak your truth, say, to a family member, it might be you're speaking your truth and that family member has not been able to live their dream. And so the responses they're going to give you are based on their pain, not yours. So it's really important to understand where the other person is coming from. And if you can get under that, and think, have compassion and kindness for that other person that you need to speak your truth at, and to understand where they're coming from, it's very powerful. Sometimes that can unlock your trigger. You can, okay, I know where this is going. I've got a feeling, okay, and I know this person's really struggling at the moment. I know they've got something going on at home. I know that, they're worried about their kids, or maybe they've got an elderly parent that they're worried about. I know that this is going on. So let me have some compassion for that person at first before I begin to speak my truth. And that brings me to the third thing that's really powerful when you want to speak your truth, is the commitment to uncertainty. And that really means is releasing your attachment to the outcome of what you will expect if you speak your truth. If you're invested in the outcome, then what you're invested in is trying to make somebody change. That is not what you want in this situation, because they're not going to change. Most people aren't. They have no idea that they're doing anything right, wrong. What you want to do is to step into your courage, because as you do that, as you begin to step into your courage and speak your truth, it empowers you. This empowers you. Oh, Donna, that's lovely. Let me just get this so I can read it. My glasses on. Okay, this is so massive, such great advice. It takes a lot to understand who the right people are in your life to speak to, and it does definitely make a difference. Why? Well, thank you, Donna. Oh, that's really special. Thank you. Oh, made my day. Thank you very much. How lovely. Yes, it's true. We as women are our own worst enemies, because in the research, I'm doing a presentation on women in leadership in September. I'm doing a lot of research on it at the moment. The one thing, there's a lot of really key ingredients that keep coming up here. But one key element that I will share with you today is that women are the worst. Not only do we find it difficult to speak our truth, but many times we will turn our unachieved dreams and push them out onto somebody else and make it difficult for them. And many times it's not men against women, it's women against women. And that, when I kind of read that part, I was like, oh my God, it's so true. We as women, because we judge ourselves so much, I think, have a tendency to truly judge others, and in particular women. It's not so much I'm seeing in the information that I'm reading happening with men. They'll tend to be a bit more obvious about it. We as women can be a bit more submersive about that stuff. So I want to get back to this commitment to uncertainty. Make sure this is about you. You're staying in your integrity and your authenticity, because when you work on removing your own triggers and realize that this is about what you are doing, about your growth, The more you speak your truth, it's like any exercise. The more you speak your truth, the more comfortable you get in. I'm going to share with you in a minute the 5 words to use in moments when, and I used 5 because I just sometimes that's easier to remember. But it's unhooking your attachment to the outcome. It's not being, I make sure that person knows I'm right. It's not about that. I'm going to make sure they know how I feel. Not about that. It's about you standing in your truth and integrity and saying, I'm going to speak my truth right here and now. And I'm going to be compassionate to this other person. So it's not about, you're an idiot and you don't listen to me. None of that. And it's really both powerful and incredibly fearful to stand in the truth of yourself right here and now. That's the power. So working on removing your triggers, standing in your power, I use the analogy E plus O equals R, experience plus outcome equals response. What's the outcome you're looking for? It's about you, remember. Unattach your commitment to certainty. You may not get a response. You may get somebody says, I don't get what you're talking about. You can't. It's up to you to undo those triggers first. You've got to undo those triggers first. So 5 words, the 5 words. Ready for them? So in home and interpersonal relationships, so there's different words for different organizations. Home and interpersonal relationships, the 5 most powerful words to use are, when that happens, I feel. So when I'm ridiculed, or when I'm made fun of, or when I am not taken seriously, I feel. How that other person responds is of no consequence to you, none whatsoever. If they say, oh, I'm so sorry, which most people will, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize that I was, never in a moment wanted to hurt you. But some people won't. They'll go, I never intended to make you, and they'll make excuses. You keep saying, but that's how I felt. And when you are strong enough to stand in your power of your own conviction, you don't have to be proven right. That's our attachment, proven right. At work or in professional relationships, it would be in my honest, considered opinion, experience, or belief. So in my honest, considered experience, in my honest, considered opinion, in my honest, considered beliefs. In other words, I've thought this through. So in my honest, considered opinion, where we're going with this project, I don't feel is in alignment with the company brand. And that can be really difficult. If you're in a meeting of a whole group of people, and they are saying to you, this is where we're heading, and you don't feel it's right, in my honest, considered opinion, I feel this is not the way we should be heading. And if everybody else in that meeting is absolutely involved in that, to do that courageously can be really difficult. So again, it's working on those triggers to make sure you're not triggered. It's about how it's going to make you feel in your empowerment to speak your truth. And because it's something we're not used to, it can be really hard and can feel so fearful. It's like you're standing out on a ledge without any anchor. You've got no point of reference. If you've never done this before, you have no point of reference. Thank you, Deb. Yeah, I found them really powerful for me. I used to work in an organization. I'll share a little bit of a story about this. I used to work in an organization, what we call a top heavy. It was a pyramid, somebody at the top, and there were all these people, and there was everybody else down the bottom, like a pyramid, triangle. And I learned early on that if I bolded, because I came from kind of the business background and it was an education environment, I would bowl in with great ideas, blah, 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 and then they go, no, we're not going to, this is the way we've always done it. What I realized after a period of time working in this organization was the particular person I reported to needed to be in charge and needed to be in control. And when I got to understand that, needs to be in control. I get it. Oh, I understand. I understand this fear that they're running. They're running this fear about, am I right? I could see it. It was then I spent the next 5 years of my career taking ideas to this person, trying to get them to think it was their idea to begin with. So many times an initiative would be implemented and I go, that was my idea. But they would take but that was okay. That was where I was at the time. But it was in understanding that I got to a point where I had to say, when that happens, I feel. And I had the opportunity to share those words. Oh, yes. But Donna, what that taught me in that time, because there's a whole story about this whole career. I mean, really, I learned the most amazing lessons that I am so grateful for. At the time when I was in it, I didn't, but I can look back on it now and I can. About me, what I learned about me, what I learned about being in control, what I learned about speaking my truth, what I learned about my own insecurity was really extraordinary, and how I allowed them to treat me the way that they did. It was great learning experiences for me. I can look back and forgive them for that now, and really thank them really for all those people that caused me absolute grief most nights. I can now look back and go, oh, thank you, because I learned that now, to be self-evolved, self-aware. Oh, we do learn so much from others, don't we? Don't we? That's the thing. The thing that I love about this whole entire process of personal development is what you learn about you. And when you learn that stuff about you, the relationships you then develop, both with yourself and others, are so much stronger. I just love anything to do with this whole thing about truth and authenticity and courage, and it just fills my heart. I love it. So it's about, understanding this is not about anybody else. This is about you. Because when you don't speak your truth, it's like you lose a part of your soul and your heart every single time. Every single time you don't speak your truth. Every single time you back away from it for fear of ridicule, what happens is a piece of you dies and you don't get that back. And what happens is, what we do is we reach for something to make us feel better. And that's where we get, get into bad relationships with food or alcohol or a primary relationship. We get into those bad behaviors and bad habits because a piece of us keeps dying. And to fill it back up again, to fill that part of your soul back up, takes to be courageously authentic and courageously, compassionately speak your truth. And it's about not making it about anybody else. It isn't about anybody else, but we get so triggered. That's what we need to deal with. So if you have someone in your life, a conversation has to take place sometime. Writing it down first. Okay, write this out. Write how this person makes you feel. Find the pattern. Now, if you are struggling with this in any way, I have actually opened up my diary this week. I've got a huge month coming up. Where did I go? Where'd it go? Here. Right here. I have opened up my diary. I have a huge month happening, or 3 actually coming up. But I've opened up my diary if you want to have a chat with me, a private chat about how I can help you find that courage and what's really going on and what's stopping you from doing this. There's a link there. I'll pop it in the chat box down below as well. Make it a clickable link. For me, it's the most powerful thing that you can possibly do. Let's see if it's going to paste. Yes, it's going to paste. So there's a clickable link if you want to have a chat with me about speaking your truth and how you can do that. Oh, there we go. There it is. Jesus, long delay on this, isn't it? And we can go with that. Right, we're going to finish with a tapping session. Let's do that. I want to finish off with. We didn't do a tapping session last week because I wanted you to write more. I hope you spent this week writing, getting to know you, getting all that stuff out, that pain out, emotion out. It's just emotion. It's just emotion. That's all it is. And let's do some tapping today. We're going to tap on finding the courage to speak your truth. So I want you, while we're doing this, is to think about a person, a situation, something that's going on in your life right now. And we're going to tap on this. And I've actually got some notes today because I want to make this quite powerful for you. I want you to think of that person. I want you to feel in your body. I want you to feel what the emotion is like in thinking about that person. And if you have to speak your truth to them, what does it feel like? Fear, uncertainty, worry, whatever it is. All right? And measure on a scale of 1 to 10. All right, here we go. Even though I feel uncertain about this, I deeply and completely expect myself and how I feel. Even though I do not feel courageous at all when I think about speaking my truth to this person. I deeply and completely accept myself and how I feel. Even though the last time I spoke my truth, it did not end well. I'm not sure I could do it again. I deeply and completely accept myself and how I feel. Tapping. It makes me feel uncertain. When I spoke my truth last time, it didn't end well. I felt ridiculed. This fear about speaking my truth, it makes me feel unsure. It can make me feel small. This fear about speaking my truth, this fear about speaking my truth. Okay, just take a breath. Now, as you know, this is just general tapping, remember. So it might be something you want to work on this week. Try and get to underneath what's been going on. Let's do a quick reframe. We can finish this off. Here we go. Even though I have some fear around speaking my truth. I choose to be courageous. Even though I still have some fear around speaking my truth, I choose to be my courageous, authentic self. Even though there is still some fear around this, I choose to stand in my courage. Okay, here we go. I choose to be courageous. I choose to be compassionate. I choose to be my authentic self. I choose to release the fear of uncertainty. I choose to stand in my courage. I choose to forgive those who've made me feel so unsure in the past. I choose to be courageous. I choose to be my authentic self. Okay, just take a breath and let it go. All right, now what I would like you to do this week is to pull out those I am statements, okay? So I choose to be courageous. I am courageous. I am compassionate. I am courageously authentic. Find those I am statements. They're the things that are so powerful. You know, those are the mantras that need to go over and over when you're feeling that fear, is to step into the courage. I choose to be my authentic self. I am courageous. I am authentic. I stand in my courage. And one more thing, one more reminder, do not speak your truth until you have released what the triggers are. That's the only way you can do this. Otherwise, you will go through into fear and it will all go pear-shaped. It's the inner work. Remember, it's the inner work. And to bless those people who don't get it. Sometimes that's the only thing you have. All right, I'm just going to pop up that Calendly link again. If you want to have a chat, that is the link. I have some free time this week, and I'd love to have a chat with you, see if and how I can help you. In the meantime, my lovely people, thank you for being on again. It's been a very powerful session. Yeah, thank you, Donna. I think it's been it's great. Yes, I think we do. And I think many of us do, you know. One of the things I just want to leave this with you is to always remember that most of us are going through stuff, and that the judgment of others holds us back. We never know what's going on in somebody's life, but that's that compassion part. So have a wonderful weekend everywhere, wherever you are. And I look forward to seeing you next week for another powerful Isn't It Time Facebook Live show. Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.